So, hello, hi everyone. I'm Hugo, and well, I'm a pretty old school designer. I already done like branding, graphic, packaging, illustration, web, and like 10 years ago, I moved to Bliss applications to do mobile apps to design web. So I'm really, really old. Like 10 years ago, that's a lot. I used to have this banana project. Well, the concept is every time we receive like a fruit basket at the office, I took off one of the bananas and drew on it. I drew like 100 bananas or more. So it was a pretty fun side project. Um, Currently, I'm part of the design ops team and as a product design specialist. And this is like photos of our office. Yes, we have a beach view. That's nice. Um, right now, when we arrived at Bliss, we were like only two designers, and right now we are like 60 designers and 70 developers, which is a good ratio comparing to the industry. About the design team, so we are product designers, of course, digital designers, UX writers, motion designers, and with this team and also the research team that is not included on the product design area, is part of the design team. We build products. Everyone, anyone heard about emotional design? Hands? No? Hands up? One guy? Okay. So maybe was thinking maybe we go to pizza party. No, let's talk about motion design. So I'm going to start by this quote from Interaction Design Foundation. So emotional design is the concept of how to create designs that evoke emotions which result in positive user experience. So actually, we have as designers, we have a role here, right? So we can influence users to evoke emotions and to create a good experience. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. So we have like three levels of emotional processing, so visual, behavioral, and reflective. And the first two, visual and behavioral, they can affect, these are how designs can affect users' emotions. And the reflective part is only on the user's part, his own emotions, his own experience using the product on his life. But more about visual. So visual is like the initial impression, the appearance, the touch, the feel, is even where we didn't interact with the product yet. For example, we're walking on the street and you smell nice from a bakery. Probably is some fresh breads making. So you didn't interact with the product, but you already know what to expect. That's what visual is. Or when you listen to an ambulance, or even the splash screens or the intro from a specific product, we already know what to expect, right? So the behavioral part is when when you interact with the product, the performance, how it goes, if it's good, it's easy to use or not. And the best example is when you're using a knife, if the knife cuts in one clean cut or not, if it cuts different kind of fruits, bread, everything. When you're interacting with a product and we are, for example, registering on a product or making a login, it all went well, is the interaction, right? All the parts of interaction with the product. And the reflective part is the meaning of a product. So it's more than using a product. It's actually when you use a product and you share with your friends, for example. It can have a cultural meaning. For example, and this is a car right here, but that's just an example. But you really like your car, that you think of, that you really enjoy riding your car, and you are at home, right? You are thinking of it. You are not using it, so it's behind the using. But let's play a little game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fast and fun. I'm going to make like a question, and you only have to answer A or B, okay? But like go with your instinct, okay? Don't think too much. Instinct only. So first one, which shampoo is more expensive? Okay. Which coffee is the strongest? Okay. Which cookie brand has the healthiest ingredients? Okay. Was pretty fast, right? Like 2 seconds, almost 1 second. Yeah, because I mean, and did you notice that they all have the same logo and the same copy? It's like just looking at like pictures, typography, color, images, all these can impact on us. And you don't read it. You just look at the overall picture and you make a decision. Yeah, the first impression is key and is a visual one, right? But I mean, it's impossible to create products with only like good, appealing, nice visuals, illustrations. You have to have a balance between visual, behavioral, and reflective. That's the main goal of the emotional design. And actually, the goal is to create delight to the user. So that's the balance. If one of the pillars is not okay, you're gonna have a shitty product. So we have to really work on these three pillars. And let's talk about delight. Let's talk about surface and deep delight. And I'm going to give you some examples of surface and deep delight. I think it's going to be interesting. But first, I'm just going to try to explain this pyramid, right? So this is based on the Iron Altar pyramid of hierarchy of user needs. And basically, you have two parts of the pyramid, right? The below part is all about tests, and on top, experience. So about tests, a product needs to be functional, reliable, and usable. Functional, is it useful for the user or not? Reliable, if it always works or not. If it's usable, if it's easy to use or not. But on the second part of the pyramid, we have like only few products that go above this point, right? Is when you create delight to the users. And you have surface delight. Does it bring joy? Is it pleasurable or not? Or is it add value or not? And that's about deep delight. So we have these two. And of course, the ultimate goal is to be meaningful to the user. So actually add some value to the user. So surface delight, what it is like a positive feeling. It's pretty contextual. And could be using isolated screens, for example, if you are talking about digital products. And the deep delight is a positive feeling, but it's more holistic. Should be achieved like in all user needs. So we need to check all the user needs to be considered like deep delight. So it's not visual. It's not a feeling. It's more than that. And you have some examples of surface delights. So we have the examples like expressive imagery, micro interactions, micro copy, positive surprise, expressive motion, and brand personality. And on the other end, let's start by giving some examples of surface delight actually. So this is an example for MailChimp. This happens when you finish like configuration for the newsletter and appears the i5 illustration, right? So this gives us like immediately an empathy with user and also like a brand personality, right? And this is of course the old branding, and they used to use these mascots to give these moments of illustration with animation. But I mean that's you can all relate with this, right? Everyone have done like a Wi-Fi once in a while, so we really know what to expect of this, and really creates an empathy with user. And the second example is from Moi. So we designed this Bliss and also developed it. This in a bank app, and in this case, there's a long flow to configure your pet insurance, right? But in this case, on the background, you'll need like 5 to 10 seconds to configure your pet insurance. That's why we created this illustration with animation, like to actually explain at the same time why it's taking so long. So the title and the description also helps to do that. but also have like a fun fact about cats. So in this case, you create empathy, but also is a good way to distract user in a good way, of course. Micro interactions. I mean, you can use this like everywhere, and the idea is to make the interface more alive and actually give feedback to the user. We have two examples here. The top is from the iPhone, and it's a simple animation, right? It's like pretty simple. It's just a movement of unlock and lock with the change of colors. It's actually pretty simple, but it really gives feedback to the user. And of course, below an input that gives us feedback if you write the email or not, and that's pretty simple, of course, but really makes a difference. I really like this one. So this is about microcopy, and on microcopy, of course, it will always depend of your brand, but you can use humor in some scenarios, right? In this case, I don't know if you can read it, but I'm going to read for you. So this is like a pretty common error when the username is already taken, but in this case, they wrote another user is with this username, or I'm sorry, another user with this username already exists. Maybe it's your evil twin, spooky. I think that's it's like simple tests like this really can make a difference. And I really like also this one. So this is for an app or a website that also an app that help you to create an agenda. But in this case, you appears that notification from the browser that you need to allow the use of camera and microphone. And this guy just put a symbol like pointing right to the system notification. It's pretty simple, right? Just an image, but really can make a difference and to let the users guide the users, but also have like a moment of fun and create a difference. Sound. Just a second. No, not hear this. Can you hear it? You can imagine, right? Yeah. So this is also made a difference. Like it's like a brand sounds, but really you can use sound also to guide users and to create this sense of immersion. And as you said, you already know what to expect, right? Haptics. This is more for mobile and smartphones and smartwatches, but is also a good way to give some feedback to the users. So haptics are like metaphors, and depending of the vibration, you can transmit the idea of success, a neutral, or a warning error. So it's simple in terms of users' feedbacks, and it's easy to understand. And you can also, and this is an example of it, use this kind of feedback to guide the user if you want to go left or right. So it's another way to give users feedback. It's not visual, but really can makes a difference. And in this scenario, also right here, I think in this expressive motion, you're going to need the help from our friends developers, right? But the idea is to use motion to create hierarchy and to create a rhythm. So in this example, you can see that the animation starts on top and go from left to right and guide user through the animation. So it looks simple, but of course, not every site have this kind of interaction and animations, and can also make a difference. On the other end, so deep delight, as I said, is a more positive feeling that is more realistic. So and you have examples like trust, storytelling, create a relatable voice, have personalization, customization, and gamification. And I'm going to show some examples of this also. So gamification. Gamification is like, it's more common right now, but actually it's like you can use an app could be all about gamification, or you can have like simple details of gamification, but the idea is to to understand the user needs and the motivations, and actually give some feedback on when they achieve their goals, and makes the user feels good about it. So yeah. And of course, it's more visual. Can be more visual. Could be you have like elements like illustration and animation, but the essence is that to create a layer of engage the user. And personalization and customization. This is an example for Notion, and I mean, Notion is all about customization, right? That's probably why we love it so much. But starts on the onboarding screens when you have to choose between if I'm a team or if I go for myself. This is an example of customizations, and what this makes, it makes like the user feels that they have a sense of ownership. They can choose something, so it's really powerful for the user. Storytelling. That's another cool example. In this case, the storytelling is not about visuals, but is more about finding opportunities to help users. In this case, probably some of you already know about this, especially iPhone users. But when you have a friend at your home, at your office, that you can share the Wi-Fi password with him, and just going to pop up a model on your screen, and you just need to press the button share password. That's it. But it's pretty simple. Like you put the user as the hero on this in this history. So it's kind of interesting. This is another example of storytelling. In this example, the key here is to guide the user, even with live feedback, right? So this gives like the power, so the user can see what it choose, and the user can guide throughout the process, and to ensure that the product meets their needs. So that's the main goal here. Again, I'm going to show some examples of how to do it. I'm going to show just a simple example. You just need to consider 2 questions, or you can start by considering 2 questions, right? Where are people coming from emotionally, and where do you want people to go emotionally? So if you answer these 2 questions, it's going to help you to create these moments. You have an example of a user journey that's going to try to explain it. So this is an example of a registration process. We have an welcome screen, a to screen, and onboarding steps, a setup notification, and a success page, a policy email, new features intro, and a guidance test. But this is not all in the same tone flexing, right? You can have some variations. In this case, for example, if you want to create some kind of visual layer, you can probably use the welcome screen and the success page to do it, right? And I'm gonna show the example of the success page. So you have the same structure mostly. So we have an icon, a title, a description, a button, but actually can like starting out adding different kind of emotional tools here, like illustration, animation, microcopy, then personality, sound, and ethics. Actually, you can use all these on one screen. Okay, probably is going to be too much, of course, but actually you can do it. So you can start adding like these details that all makes the difference. And this is an example of 6 different success pages, and you can see different colors, animations, illustrations. Even the microcopy is going to be different. The placement of course of the elements, but with the same structure, you can like do some different variations. And I really like this quote from Don Norman that really explains and sums it like what is emotional data. So it's not enough that we build products that function, that are understandable and usable. We also need to build products that bring joy and excitement, pleasure and fun, and yes, beauty to people's lives. So it's exactly this kind of layer that we want to create here, and that we are talking about emotional design. It's kind of a balance between usability and of course make the interaction delightful. So rational and emotional. And of course, we have to respect this balance. But Billy, you can make things different. And let's meet it. That's my Steve Jobs moment, okay? And I'm also gonna sell something. So the idea here, I talked about collaboration developers, and this is a quote from John Maeda. The magic happens when designers and developers come together and start talking. And we really like that on Bliss. So we love the collaboration between designers and developers. And actually, that's why you make this end-off template that was done like with the help of different designers and developers from the team. And you can see like flow, how the document flows at Bliss. So you can have like flow documentation examples. How we document Lottie files. We really use a lot of Lottie files for animations. We really like to use it, even for mobile apps and the web, of course. You can have also use the documentation components like labels, etc., etc. And yes, this is available on the Figma community. You can download it right now. Just need to check Bliss and off template, and probably you're gonna find it. And of course, give us feedback if you like, if you don't like, some ideas of updates. You can all at once. But we thought, why not think bigger? And we're like a little bit crazy. And that's why we created like a film, a mini documentary about our experience. So we started like a few designers, a few developers, but then the team grew, and that's why I created this kind of templates like others. But let's check the trailer. I know, is it sound or not? Let me check. I will try it.
When we had teams composed of one designer and two developers, the handoff was an informal process, and there were no strict guidelines. So now have When we had teams composed of one designer and two developers, the handoff was an informal process, and there were no strict guidelines. So now having teams with 4 to 5 designers, 4 to 5 engineers, with most of them working remotely, we need to establish how we would document each step of the project. Not only to do a simple handoff, but also to cultivate collaboration throughout the process.
Okay. As the next week's example, imagine with sound. This is the trailer, of course, but you can find all these when I launch this next Wednesday. When I have a landing page, when you can check the video, and you're gonna check of course, can download the Figma or a link to the Figma community, and then book talking about our process. So this is landing page, 27 September, and thank you.